After failing 12 math tests, this billionaire's son discovers incredible wisdom from the new maid. Tyler Weston stared down at his last math test, the red ink smudged in an unforgiving scrawl across the page. It felt like a gunshot, echoing in the lavish silence of his home. The weight of his father's expectations loomed like a skyscraper over him. Failure is not an option, his dad always said, a billionaire tech mogul whose success defined him and everyone around him. With every flicker of disappointment in his father's eyes, Tyler felt himself shrinking, trapped in a world where pristine lawns and luxury cars only amplified his failures. 12 math tests, 12 moments when he felt the world watching, judging. Each time he failed, the burden grew heavier, suffocating him under well-meaning but emotionally distant expectations. The dark hours of the night felt less lonely after Rosa entered their home, a new maid with dust on her shoes and a fiercely resilient heart. At first, Tyler dismissed her like he did the low hum of the vacuum cleaner, a background noise in his sprawling, gated suburban life. But it was during one of his late-night battles with math homework, when the clock ticked past midnight and the household fell silent, that Rosa's presence grew magnetic. "Why don't you take a break?" she'd suggested quietly, her eyes sparkling with understanding. As he shared his frustrations, she listened, nodding gently, her empathy wrapping around his tangled thoughts. She shared stories from her own struggles in her small town, the dirt roads and the grit it took to work hard for every little win. Every tale hit him like a punch to the gut, awakening something inside him. Her unwavering spirit breathed hope into his despair, a light during the darkest hours. Suddenly, the charity fundraiser approaching, showcasing the very wealth and privilege he was supposed to uphold, felt like a twisted mirror reflecting his failure. He could feel the tension thickening in the air, a fog of whispers swirling around him as he mingled with peers who glided effortlessly through life. Nothing felt right as he stood there in a fancy suit that felt like a costume, as he'd learned of his father's colleagues eager to impress one another. Then it happened, a tense moment erupted. A group was laughing loudly, mocking a struggling family from the neighborhood, and before he knew it, Tyler was on his feet. "Stop!" The word burst out of him, shocking everyone, including himself. Yearning for the integrity Rosa inspired in him, he stood at the intersection of acceptance and truth. Eyes turned toward him, some in disbelief, others in curiosity. The world he knew, one of praise and privilege, wavered before him. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. In that moment of tension, Tyler felt the walls closing in. He glanced toward Rosa, who stood quietly in the back of the room, her expression a blend of encouragement and caution. Was he willing to risk everything for the values he learned from her? Could he truly break free from the glittering chains of wealth? As his heart raced, Tyler stood on that precipice, dizzy at the thought of rejecting his father's ideals. Could he forge his own identity in this world of opulence? Or would he slip back into the familiar, allowing expectations to engulf him once more? The stakes had never felt higher, and the air crackled with possibility. The room fell silent. Tyler took a deep breath, grounding himself in the moment. It was as if time had paused, the laughter fading into the background. He focused on the expressions of those around him, their faces reflecting a mix of shock and intrigue. Each one of them, dressed in designer suits and pearls, seemed to cling to their world of privilege, unaware of the lives outside their glossy bubbles. "Tyler? What are you talking about?" "That family deserves it," one of his so-called friends, Jake, snickered, the arrogance dripping from his voice. The other kids chuckled, but Tyler's heart thundered in his chest, fueling his resolve. "No, they don't." Tyler shot back, his own voice raw and unsteady. "Everyone deserves respect. They're human beings, not jokes." He didn't just want to shout, he needed to scream. Somehow, Rosa's stories of overcoming hardship made this moment feel like a turning point that he pushed forward, his face flushed. What if that was your family? Your mom or dad? The words hung in the air, stark and challenging. Whispers erupted. Some eyes widened in surprise, while others flicked around nervously as if seeking approval from the group. Tyler glanced back at Rosa. Her smile was small yet warm, a silent nod that urged him forward. There was something pure about her, something real. Here he was, fueled by outrage, while she stood behind him, firm and unwavering that he could see his father across the room, a proud figure with an unwavering gaze, watching yet detached. Tyler felt the urge to shield his words, to take them back. But deep down, he knew this wasn't just about a moment in a lavish hall. This was about his freedom, his choice to step into the unknown. Do you even know their story? Tyler continued, his pulse racing. They work long hours just to make ends meet. They care about their kids just like you and me. His voice cracked, but he pressed on. They don't deserve to be mocked because they aren't as lucky as us. A ripple of silence spread across the room, challenged by his truth. It was as if he pulled back a curtain, unveiling something hidden and uncomfortable. Tyler could almost feel the weight of his father's gaze intensify, expectations clashing with what he was saying. Then came a voice from the back. Rosa's. Everyone has the right to dignity, she whispered, her words cutting through the tension like a knife. Their struggles are not a punchline. Who cares what you think? A girl shouted from the corner, clearly agitated. You clean their houses. Rosa squared her shoulders, unfazed. Just because I clean doesn't mean I'm not worthy of respect. I've worked hard all my life. So have they. Those words broke something inside of Tyler. There it was, the power of what it meant to stand tall, to face judgment head-on. The truth felt freeing. They weren't just standing up for a family, they were standing against a tide of ignorance that polished wealth but dirtied humanity. Slowly, murmurs of agreement started to rise. A few faces showed sympathy, others confusion, but he saw it cracks forming in the armor of privilege. Tyler's heart soared, but a nagging question lingered in the back of his mind. What consequences would he face when the last echo of his voice faded away? Tyler, his father, finally stepped forward, eyes narrowed. We need to talk. Tyler felt the lump in his throat. The weight of the confrontation loomed large. Surely, expecting a lecture, or worse, withdrawal of affection. But what if he could stand firm on this horizon he crossed? What if this was the moment where his voice truly mattered? As he took a deep breath, the question hovered, heavy and uncertain. Was he ready to face the fallout of his newfound courage? Or would his father's shadow eclipse the light that Rosa had sparked within him? Tyler stood there, his heart racing, as his father's imposing figure loomed closer. The room felt smaller, the laughter and chatter now just a distant hum. He prepared for a confrontation, a reprimand that would cut right to the core of his fears of disappointing his father, of losing the love that felt so conditional when he defied expectations. Dad, Tyler started, but his father's voice sliced through the tension like a knife. Not here. Let us go somewhere private, his father said, glancing around the room, clearly embarrassed but more concerned with maintaining his own image than understanding his son's feelings. Tyler nodded, his stomach twisting into knots. He followed his father into a side room, their footsteps echoing off the marble floors. The door clicked shut behind them, sealing them off from the world outside, and with it, an avalanche of anxiety tumbled through Tyler. Do you realize what you just did? His father began, arms crossed tightly over his chest. There was a mix of disappointment and disbelief in his voice. You embarrassed me in there. Embarrassed you? Or challenged a dangerous mindset? Tyler shot back, his words full of desperation. He wasn't sure if he was still angry or if he'd hit a nerve. You always tell me to stand up for what's right. Isn't that what I did? Not like this. Not here. Not with those people. His father's face flushed with a mix of frustration and disbelief. Those are our friends, our business partners. What do you think they'll say? What business do you have defending them? They're people. Tyler exclaimed. They matter just like us. Don't you get that? He found strength in every word, determined to hold his ground. His father's expression hardened. You need to grow up, Tyler. Life isn't fair. If you want to succeed, you have to play the game. Play the game? At what cost? Tyler shook his head, emotions swirling inside him. What if playing the game means turning my back on people who are struggling, just to keep up appearances? A heavy silence fell between them. Tyler's father looked away, his jaw tight. He seemed less like a father and more like a company executive, and for a moment, Tyler felt like he was fighting a battle alone. Rosa is not just a maid, Dad, he finally said quietly, the words softening his tone. She's worked harder than most of us ever will. And those families we laughed at, they have stories too. His father shifted, a flicker of something, regret, understanding, crossing his features, but it vanished just as quickly. This is a mistake, son. You are making a choice that can affect our family, our future. Tyler's heart sank. He didn't want to be the reason for more tension, but he refused to stand down. I'd rather have nothing than be part of a future built on the backs of others. His voice found its own steadiness, a newfound resolve surfacing. I'm not going to support an image that's only skin deep. His father's eyes narrowed, disappointment twisted into anger. You're young and naive. You'll see. Maybe. But at least I'll see it for myself, Tyler replied, stepping back. The walls of the room felt too close now, suffocating him. There was clearly a battle brewing not only with his father inside him, a storm was forming. Dad, I need to figure this out, and I can't do that if I'm stuck in your world. I can't keep pretending. The night hung heavy around them, filled with what-ifs and might-have-beens. Silence took hold, between breaths, between thoughts. As he turned away, ready to rejoin the party, a swell of uncertainty washed over him. What awaited outside? Would anyone understand? Would they support him, or would he be met with more derision? But it didn't matter anymore. He had crossed a line. What would be left of him once they discovered he dared to walk away? Tyler took a deep breath, the taste of fear and courage mixing. He stepped out, ready to face the world anew. What he didn't expect was the sight of Rosa waiting for him, her eyes shining with warmth and strength. In that moment of connection, he realized he wasn't alone anymore. But could he truly carve his own path, and would he have the courage to follow it? As her smile met his, it sparked a flicker of hope mixed with uncertainty. Something had changed irrevocably, but what would that mean for him next? The party buzzed behind him, filled with laughter and clinking glasses, but for Tyler, everything fell away as he focused on Rosa. Her presence felt like a lighthouse in a stormy sea, guiding him back to where he needed to be. Hey, you okay? She asked softly, her voice steady despite the chaos around them. Tyler nodded, though he wasn't sure if he believed it himself. He started, glancing back at the door his father had just closed. I don't want to pretend anymore. Not in front of people who think they're better than everyone else. Rosa took a step closer, her brow creasing with thought. And what if pretending is what keeps you safe? You know how people like your dad think. Safe? He scoffed, the word leaving a bitter taste in his mouth. What kind of life is that? She furrowed her brows as if she were weighing something heavy. I get it. But change comes slow, Tyler. You can't just flip a switch and expect the world to follow. I know, he said, looking into her determined eyes. But I feel this fire inside me. I want to do something that matters. Her smile flickered, revealing a flicker of understanding. Then do it. Just don't put yourself in harm's way. There's a lot at stake. The thought twisted in his gut. Tyler glanced around, taking in the lavish decorations, the extravagant attire, and the superficial smiles of the guests just beyond the threshold. This was his world, but he was beginning to feel like a stranger in it. What if my dad's right? He asked, voice low. What if in trying to help, I ruin everything for us? Rosa shook her head, firm and resolute. You won't ruin anything by being yourself. You'll only make it better. Wouldn't it be worse to pretend you don't care? The truth in her words echoed in his heart. Maybe he needs to hear this realization too. Maybe, she replied, tilting her head, her eyes narrowing as if she could see his thoughts unraveling before her. But you can't change him. You can only focus on what you can control, your own path. Start there. A rush of determination surged within him. Could he really carve a new way, not just for himself but for others too? What would it look like to be true to himself, to fight against the flow, to shine light on stories that mattered? I am tired of being afraid, Tyler admitted, and those words felt like a small revolution inside him. Rosa's expression softened with encouragement. Then stand up, Tyler. Find your voice for them, for you. With every heartbeat, he felt more empowered, yet the weight of his father's expectations still loomed large. But as he faced Rosa, he realized that he couldn't keep squeezing himself into molds that felt wrong. I'll start tonight, he declared, feeling exhilarated at the thought. I'll find a way to speak up. Good, she encouraged, her eyes sparkling now. You're ready for this. Just remember, it's not just a fight against your dad, it's a battle for the people who need a voice. Tyler felt the thrill of possibilities brimming around him. Yet, doubt whispered in the corners of his mind. What if no one listens? What if I'm just a kid with a lot of noises and no real authority? You won't know until you try, Rosa replied, resolutely confident. But you have strength, Tyler. Even if it's not a loud roar, sometimes whispers can make the biggest impact. He thought of the stories Rosa had shared with him, the hardships she faced, the struggles of her family. Every word had dug deep into his heart. With newfound purpose, he concluded, okay. I won't let fear silence me. I'll take that first step. As he stepped away from Rosa, his emotions were a tangled web of dread and exhilaration. With each stride toward his own future, the door creaked open to a void of uncertain promise. Would others embrace his mission, or would they recoil in disbelief, expecting him to follow the same old script? Only time would tell. And as he made his way back to the party, he braced himself. The challenges would be real, but so would the courage needed to face them. What awaited him next would test both his heart and his resolve, but somewhere in that chaos, he felt something essential stirring within him, and it ignited a flicker of hope. Could he truly withstand the tide of his father's expectations and recast his own destiny? As Tyler stepped back into the party, the vibrant chatter washed over him like a wave. It felt overwhelming, yet oddly stifling, a cacophony of laughter and idle gossip that he felt increasingly disconnected from. Each voice seemed to blend into the others, becoming one indistinguishable hum, but now, he heard it differently. He didn't just hear the noise, he felt the weight of their judgment, their expectations pressed against his shoulders. Tyler. There you are. A voice jolted him from his thoughts. It was his dad's business partner, Mr. Thornton, his well-practiced smile glinting like his perfectly polished cufflinks. You've grown. How's school? Sports? Anything exciting? Just the usual, Tyler replied, forcing a smile. The answer felt hollow in his mouth. Good. Good. Stay on track, son. Your dad has big plans for you, Mr. Thornton said, patting him on the back with a little too much force. Tyler winced at the implication, the hint of future expectations that loomed like shadows. He excused himself quickly and slipped into an empty corner of the sprawling hall. The room felt like a stage, and his father's shadow loomed large, casting doubt on the individual he yearned to be. He leaned against the cool wall, breathing deeply. Then he spotted her. Rosa was talking to a group of guests, her laughter like a beam of sunlight breaking through a thick cloud. He felt a pull, an instinct to go to her. Despite everything in him that hesitated, her spirit reminded him that hope existed outside his father's rigid expectations. As he walked towards her, he saw her laughter shared with people who looked important but didn't seem to truly engage. Suddenly, their conversations felt vapid, but when Rosa spoke, there was life in her words. He finally reached the edge of the group, watching her smile as she animatedly described some project she was passionate about. "And that's when I realized, it's about making a real difference," she said. Tyler leaned in closer, his heart racing as Rosa's eyes met his. The warmth in her gaze sparked a feeling inside him he hadn't expected, a sense of belonging, the reassurance that he wasn't alone in this fight. "Mind if I steal her away for a second?" he said, surprising himself with the confidence in his voice. Rosa's face lit up with surprise, then with delight as she turned away from the crowd to face him. "Of course. I could use a break from their questions about the latest luxury cruise, anyway." They stepped away, moving toward a quieter balcony, where the night air felt refreshing against his skin. "Okay, Tyler. What's happening in that brain of yours?" she asked, crossing her arms with a curious look. "I'm overwhelmed," he admitted, leaning against the railing. "But I want to talk about real issues. Share stories that mean something." Her eyes widened slightly, a glimmer of excitement. "That's amazing. So you're ready to break the mold?" "Yeah," he said, feeling the words coming alive. "I think I need to find a way to reach out. There are so many untouched stories, voices that deserve to be heard. I want to help all of us." Rosa nodded, her expression serious yet encouraging. "That's bigger than you think. But the first step is the hardest." Tyler looked out over the city skyline, illuminated in the distance. His heart beat faster at the thought of what lay ahead, but fear still twisted in his gut. "What if I mess up? What if I can't do it?" "You'll never know until you try," she replied softly. "And I'll be right here with you." The sincerity in her voice soothed him. Still, doubts lingered at the edges of his mind, threatening to unravel his resolve. "But how do I even start?" "Speak from your heart. Every story matters, and people will listen if it's sincere," Rosa said. "Remember, you've already taken the most significant step by wanting to make a change." Tyler took a deep breath, letting her words settle into his core. He felt as though he stood at a crossroads, the choices ahead wide open yet daunting. Just then, they heard laughter erupt from inside, breaking the moment's tension. What if this could be the way to bring people together? He pondered aloud, to inspire others to share their stories too. "I believe it can, Tyler," she replied, excitement sparkling in her eyes. "But don't wait too long to act. Your voice is waiting to be heard." He nodded, feeling a swell of resolve. As they returned to the party, the atmosphere pulsed with potential, a world ripe for change. But within the space of anticipation crawled an uneasy thought. Could he really stand up and speak truth when the full weight of his father's expectations bore down on him? The evening stretched out ahead, choices awaited him. What would be his first move? As Tyler and Rosa walked back into the party, the chaos of the celebration felt like it spun around them in a dizzying whirl. Tyler glanced at the gathering important faces, polished shoes, and endless conversation. Yet now, everything seemed distorted, as if through a funhouse mirror. Rosa nudged him and whispered, "Look over there, that group seems to be planning a charity event. Why not jump in?" Tyler's heart raced. Raising his voice felt like standing on the edge of a diving board, staring into water that seemed too deep. "I can't just join them out of nowhere. What if they think I'm just some kid with no real ideas?" "They won't," she insisted. "Believe me. You have so much potential. Just take that leap. Just as Tyler opened his mouth to respond, the music shifted into an upbeat number, and the dance floor became a frenzy of energy. Laughter erupted from groups of friends, people twirling in bright dresses and crisp suits. It was a scene of innocent joy, one that seemed far removed from Tyler's anxious thoughts. "Let us dance," Rosa said, grabbing his hand. He hesitated, caught between the urge to retreat and her infectious enthusiasm. As he joined her on the dance floor, something shifted within him. The rhythm matched the pulse of his heart, fast and electric. He began to move, allowing the music to break through the walls he had built. "You see?" Rosa beamed, her smile illuminating the night. "Just let go." As they spun and laughed, Tyler realized how liberating it felt to be in the moment. He was just a kid, not the extension of his father's grandiose plans. Amidst the swaying bodies and vibrant lights, he made a silent vow to himself: he would find his voice. Later, when the music slowed and couples drifted closer together, Tyler excused himself to grab a drink. He found himself at the edge of the crowd, a metaphorical breath in a chaotic rhythm. He danced with Rosa, but that wasn't the change he craved. It was only a step towards discovering who he really was. In that moment, his phone buzzed in his pocket. It was a message from his dad: "Make sure you don't underperform tonight. Our reputation is on the line." The weight returned like a chill. Tyler felt the difference now, the words cut deeper. Instead of anger, he was struck with a pulse of fear that shook him to his core. "Everything okay?" Rosa asked, observing the sudden cloud settling over his expression. "Yeah, just a text," he replied, hiding his worry behind a casual smile. But the gnawing concern began to wrap around him like a tight noose. His father's expectations weren't just words, they were a living, breathing entity, breathing down his neck since he could remember. "Come on," she urged, her voice soft yet firm. "What if you could share your story tonight? Just out loud. You don't have to ask for permission." Tyler swallowed hard. The mere thought sent his heart racing again, beating against the constraints placed on him. "But what if I fail?" he whispered, the vulnerability in his voice surprising even himself. "Then you try again," she replied. "People need to hear you. They need to feel that fire. You can't be afraid of failure if you want to inspire others." The evening air crackled with the possibilities around them. Somewhere within him, a spark flickered to life. Tyler glanced back at the bustling crowd, the voices melding together, the laughter thick in the air. What if they were ready to listen? What if they wanted to hear his truth? As he took a step back toward the gathering, his pulse raced not just from fear, but with exhilaration. "Okay," Tyler breathed, "I'm ready, but?" Rosa asked, tilting her head, her eyes shimmering with encouragement. "There's something I need to know first." He paused, a small volcano of questions threatening to erupt inside his mind. What if they listen, and it doesn't change anything? Rosa's smile widened, filled with encouragement. "Then at least you'll know you tried, and who knows? It might ignite hope in someone else." Tyler nodded, confidence swinging from doubt to possibility. But just as he prepared to step forward, his heart caught itself, and a shadow fell over him. Was he truly ready to be vulnerable in a room full of people who expected so much? Suddenly, he felt the tight grip of his father's presence tighten once more, reminding him of the stakes. What if being honest meant risking everything he thought he knew about himself? Would he be brave enough to push past that? With each pulse of his heart, another question formed: what was he truly afraid of losing? Tyler's mind raced like the driving bass of the party music. Each question collided with the other, creating a whirlwind of doubt that made his stomach churn. What if he was a failure? What if everyone, including Rosa, saw him as just a boy who couldn't live up to the expectations? The crowd around him seemed to pulse with life, but to him, it all felt out of reach, like he was standing in a frame, peering in from the outside. "You okay?" Rosa's voice was gentle, grounding against the storm brewing within him. I just don't know if I can do this, he confessed, staring into the half-filled glass in his hand. It felt heavy. I mean, what if I get up there and just freeze? Then you freeze. We've all been there, she said, her eyes falling on his. You think no one else ever felt that way before? The genuine kindness in her expression soothed him just a bit. The way she believed in him, even when he couldn't, felt warm and bright. It was like she was holding on to pieces of him he couldn't yet grasp. As he stood there, taking deep breaths, he noticed a couple near the dance floor, laughing and talking. The girl was animated, her gestures big and expressive, while the boy leaned in, captivated. The simplicity of their connection pulled at something deep within him. What if he could be that open? Rosa nudged him again. You're not alone, Tyler. Just open your heart. That's all you have to do. Right, he sighed, feeling a wave of uncertainty wash over him. But once I share my truth, what if they don't understand? What if they laugh? Or worse, what if they just don't care? Or, what if they do understand? What if you touch someone else's life? Her words hung in the air like a promise. You've got to trust yourself. You're not just your father's son, you're Tyler. Remember that. Her resolve stirred something in him, an ember fighting against the consuming anxiety. He knew he had something to say, something only he could deliver. And even if the reception was cold, would it be worse than hiding forever? With a final glance toward the thrumming crowd, he made up his mind. With each step, his heart settled into a steady rhythm. He leaned in closer to Rosa. Okay, let us do this. Together, she replied, her smile radiating warmth and assurance. As they moved through the crowd, Tyler's legs felt heavier, like they were being weighed down by clouds of expectation. But each step filled him with a growing sense of purpose. He glanced towards the group from earlier. The charity planners were now deep in conversation. Their animated faces beckoned like beacons in the darkness. Excuse me. Rosa called out as they approached, her voice slicing through the din of voices. The group turned, surprised at the intrusion. Tyler felt their gaze scrutinizing him, and it set off another round of panic, thrumming like a heartbeat. But he steeled himself and took a breath, holding onto Rosa's hand like it was a lifeline. I want to share something, Tyler began, the words trembling as they spilled from his lips. He pulled in a deep inhale, and for a fleeting moment, the fear fell away. He could hear the soft hum of those still dancing around him, a background score urging him forward. But just as he opened his mouth wider, a sharp voice interrupted him, slicing through the hopeful atmosphere. Wait, why should we listen to you? You're just a kid. The laughter rippled through the group, jarring against Tyler's resolve. In that moment, the coolness of dismissal crashed over him like a wave, leaving him choking for air. He froze, the spark that had flickered in him just moments before faded, replaced with a chilling doubt. Did they really see him as just his father's son? Did he truly have something worth sharing? He looked at Rosa, whose support was now even more vital. Would they still believe in him after that? Or would he crumble under their laughter? Questions swirled like a tempest. Could he find a way through this? The answer lingered just out of reach, like a shadow waiting to be chased away by the light. Was it possible to break through, even now? The laughter hung in the air like a thick fog, stifling and suffocating. Tyler's heart sank. He felt like he was at the bottom of a deep, dark well, the light of hope barely a pinprick high above. You're just a kid. Rang in his ears, a mocking taunt that made his cheeks flush. He wanted to disappear, to melt into the walls adorned with colorful streamers and twinkling lights. But just as he contemplated retreating, he felt Rosa squeeze his hand tighter. Hey! That's not fair. Rosa shot back, her voice firm and unwavering. It cut through the laughter, catching the group's attention again. Everyone starts somewhere. You think wisdom only comes from age? Her protectiveness lifted him, sparking a glimmer of defiance. Tyler took a tiny step forward, emboldened. You know, he said, his voice shaking but growing stronger with his next breath. Just because I'm young doesn't mean I don't have a voice. I have dreams and fears just like you do. And I want to share something I care about. Maybe it could mean something to someone else. Rosa's eyes lit up, encouragement radiating from them. The questioning gazes of the group held him, a mix of surprise and curiosity. Despite the initial rejection, he could see a few expressions shifting, considering what he had to say. Yeah. Let him speak. A voice chimed in from the back. Tyler caught sight of a girl with bright blue hair and large hoop earrings, her enthusiasm like a burst of color against the backdrop of skeptical faces. The nods began to ripple, uncertain but there. Tyler inhaled deeply, ready to share the pulse of everything he had kept inside. The atmosphere shifted. Moments ago, he felt swept away by doubt, but now he sensed the tide was turning. Each word felt like it mattered. I'm Tyler, and I used to be really scared about what others think of me, but I realized it's okay to be afraid. What matters is what we choose to do despite that fear. He felt lighter as he spoke, almost as if the weight of the world was lifted off his shoulders. I know what it's like to feel invisible, to doubt myself. But I believe that if we don't share our stories, we miss out on what connects us. This isn't just about me. It's about all of us finding our place in this world. He took a step closer, eyes scanning the crowd, searching for even one familiar face that radiated understanding. Everyone faces battles every day, and I hope my story can shine a light on someone who might be feeling lost. We can lift each other up. The group shifted, some nodding in support. The laughter faded into murmurs, and for the first time, Tyler saw not just skeptics, but potential allies. He could feel Rosa behind him, the warmth of her trust like a steady flame. As he finished, a silence fell, not the cold kind that smothered dreams, but one filled with unspoken thoughts. People exchanged glances, a collective recognition of vulnerability shared. Someone in the back broke the silence. That was really brave, they said, sincerity painting their words. A flicker of hope ignited in Tyler. Could this moment be a turning point? His heart raced, not with fear, but with the pulse of possibility. But just then, a figure approached from the side, arms crossed and a smirk growing. Nice speech, kid. But let's be real, you think that's going to change anything? Another wave of whispers swept through the crowd, and Tyler braced himself for the onslaught. Would this one voice unravel everything? He felt the doubt creeping back, whispering old fears that never truly faded. But in that moment, encapsulated under the dim glow of the party lights, his determination solidified. Could he push through this challenge? What would it take not just to be heard, but to ignite real change? With the tension in the air thickening around him, Tyler stood rooted, ready to fight for his voice, ready to discover what it truly meant to belong. As he took a breath, reshaping his resolve, he wondered, would he rise to meet this moment, or would doubt win yet again? Tyler felt his pulse quicken as he stared into the smug face of the newcomer. Thoughts swirled in his mind, battling once more against the familiar tide of self-doubt. The jester of the group, probably the one who had started the mocking, towered over him, and it was as if the very shadows of the room stretched around him, seeking to swallow his courage whole. Wow, you really think the world is just waiting for you to drop some wisdom? The figure sneered, and laughter rippled through the audience, sharper than before. Tyler could feel Rosa's grip waver, and for a moment he feared he'd lose her support too, but then he remembered the warmth he felt from the others, people who had nodded, who had stayed to listen. He took a deep breath and met the gaze of the heckler, holding on to the flicker of hope ignited moments earlier. I think we can all make a difference, Tyler replied, surprising even himself with the steadiness of his voice. Each small act matters. What if I can inspire someone else to share their story? The boy raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. Sure, buddy. But dreams don't pay the bills. A few murmurs shifted in the crowd. Was it doubt or recognition? Tyler dared to glance around. Some faces held their breath, while others wore looks of contemplation, as if the question left to linger was not just about him, but everyone in the room. What had they been holding inside themselves? Maybe it's not about money at all, Tyler pushed on, finding strength in vulnerability. It's about understanding each other. Sharing what we're feeling. If we talked instead of laughed, maybe we wouldn't feel so alone. He locked eyes with the girl who had first cheered him on, her bright blue hair and fierce spirit making her stand out like a beacon. Wow, sounds like a lot of thinking for a kid, the heckler scoffed, but Tyler could hear the edge of uncertainty creeping into his tones. There was a shift in the atmosphere, he could feel it in the tangle of his own emotions. What's wrong with thinking? Tyler countered, his voice rising above the tension. We all have those moments when we feel lost. Pretending that we're all right doesn't help anyone. The crowd quieted again, several people now glancing at each other, their expressions thoughtful. You don't have to apologize for where you come from, a soft voice spoke from the back, startling Tyler. But you shouldn't discredit others based on their age. We all have struggles. The heckler's smirk faltered, and Tyler's heart leaped. This was becoming a dialogue, others were stepping in to defend him. It didn't matter if coaxing out his voice was a slow process, a thread was weaving among them, connecting hearts in ways he hadn't anticipated. Yeah. Another voice chimed in, emboldened. Let us hear more. Who says we can't learn something from each other? The heckler's confidence wavered as murmurs of agreement swelled. Tyler focused on his breath, feeling the moment shift like the wind before a storm. He suddenly realized that, no matter what, he had already changed something. He had shifted the energy. They were listening. With a smile that felt genuine and freeing, Tyler turned back to the crowd. You know, it's tough to step up and speak out. But if we try, together, we might find that we all belong here. His words resonated, igniting the crowd further. But what do you do when no one listens? Said a quiet voice, piercing through the warm glow of shared strength. Tyler felt the weight of uncountable emotions resting on his shoulders. What did he say? Was there an answer to that? How could he show that listening could become a powerful form of change? The question hung in the air, its implications looming over him like the dawn of a new day. Would he be brave enough to confront that deeper urgency? As the crowd waited, eyes shifting expectantly, Tyler sensed the weight of a moment unlike any before. Would he break through the silence or let it envelop him once again? Tyler stood there, heart pounding, the silence stretching tight like a bowstring ready to snap. He knew he had to respond. The warmth from Rosa's encouraging gaze steadied him. What do you do when no one listens? He echoed softly, letting the gravity of the question settle in. You speak anyway. The words just flowed from him, raw and sincere. You never know who might be waiting to hear your message. It's not about making everyone listen right away, it's about planting that seed of understanding. His breath trembled slightly as he continued. I think the world is filled with stories that we hide out of fear, like I did. Fear of getting embarrassed, or fear of not meeting expectations. He took a moment to observe the crowd. Some nodded thoughtfully, others mulled over his words, processing them like small gems dropped in a pond. But if we hold back, we miss the chance to connect, Tyler pressed on. When I started to share my feelings, something shifted inside me. I realized I wasn't just a failure at math or just my father's son. I was Tyler, capable of so much more. And that's true for all of us. He thought of Rosa's strength, how she had opened his eyes. We all have resilience, just like we have struggles. It's in the sharing that we discover we're not alone, that pain can bring us together. The crowd stirred, whispers breaking the silence, a tentative ripple of recognition flowing among them. Tyler could feel it. Each person they met, whether in a suit or a simple dress, everyone had their burdens. Tyler. The heckler barked, trying to regain control, but now even his tone was faltering. What do you know about life? Maybe life isn't just about wealth or prestige, but about connection, Tyler replied, his voice stronger now. We get lost in the noise. We stop listening. And that's where the disconnect grows, when we forget that everyone has something worthwhile to say. Rosa smiled at him from the corner of her eye, her confidence surging through the air like a refreshing breeze. Change doesn't come from silence, right? She added, stepping beside him. It's standing up, sharing our truths, embracing the uncomfortable conversations. Tyler felt lifted, grounded by her words. Exactly. That's my point. He exclaimed, meeting the eyes of the once skeptical crowd, now more receptive. Imagine if we all learned to listen first to the struggles, the victories, and the stories hidden behind those polished moments. We could change the narrative. A small cheer emerged from the back. He's right. Someone called out, and it built into a chorus. Oh no, what if you inspire us? The heckler spat, sarcasm dripping, but it was met with laughs, not dismissals. Maybe that's the point. Tyler responded, hope blossoming in his chest. Maybe it is time for us to support each other instead of tearing one another down. We have an opportunity right now tonight. To be brave together. As the energy shifted, Tyler felt a surge of warmth spread through him, not just from the audience but from an unexpected sense of belonging. The walls that once closed in on him began to crumble. He no longer felt like he was shouting into a void, he was building bridges. With each word unfolding, Tyler realized he wasn't on this journey alone. Those same faces that questioned him now reflected a shifting tide, curiosity taking hold where arrogance had previously sat. Look! Rosa encouraged, looking back at the group. Tyler's right. It's in connecting that we find purpose. Let us hear your stories. Let us support one another. Suddenly, the atmosphere sparked with excitement, voices rising in agreement. Let us speak up. Let us listen. Came another voice, joined by enthusiastic noise lifting the feel of hope in the air. There you go. Tyler thought, watching as the group came alive with shared energy, threading stories of their own into the mix. He felt a powerful surge of unity wrap around him, something beautiful emerging from the depths of fear. Tonight isn't just about whatever perception of privilege you have, he added. It's about the heart, about fighting for what matters. And just like that, Tyler made a choice not just for himself, but for those around him. He was no longer just the billionaire's son, he was an advocate, a friend, a voice for those who had been silenced before. At that moment, amid laughter and shared stories, he felt lighter than ever. As the night carried on, the decorations seemed brighter in ways they hadn't before, symbols of understanding, cohesion, and respect shining through the room. Tyler had finally discovered who he was meant to be, a catalyst for change. And as the voices echoed around him, he realized there was always more to fight for, more to embrace. There would be challenges ahead, particularly with his father, but for the first time in forever, it didn't matter. His heart swelled, and with renewed energy, Tyler thought, this is only the beginning. You need to subscribe now to our channel. This is the moment to show your support for stories that matter. Leave a like now and fuel the algorithm to spread these changes. Comment your reactions and feelings about this inspiring ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together, we can inspire a wave of change.